It's no secret that Counter-Strike is one of the biggest PC game franchises of all time. Originally released in 1999 as a mod for Valve's incredibly successful FPS game Half-Life, Counter-Strike was a pretty simple team-based shooter game when you get down to it. Teams of counter-terrorist and terrorist forces fight each other with each having their own advantages in combat and certain weapons that they can use. The game was almost immediately noticed by Valve, who hired the game's creators Min Lee and Jess Cliff, bought the intellectual property rights to the game, and released it as a standalone product on November 9th, 2000. Fun little fact, the release of Counter-Strike in 2000 marked the 45th time that Valve turned a Half-Life mod into a standalone game. Crazy, right? Anyways, it was critically praised across the board and immediately gained a respectable following. So, what was next? That answer came in the form of Counter-Strike Condition Zero, released in March of 2004. The game features upgraded textures and graphics compared to its predecessor, but aside from some new single-player experiences, there was really no major gameplay difference between Condition Zero and the first game. So, it got trashed, and no one talks about it anymore. However, only a short 8 months later, a remake of the original Counter-Strike using Valve's brand new Source engine was released, called Counter-Strike Source. This game introduced gameplay mechanics that people know as staples of the Counter-Strike series, such as not respawning until the round ends, and shooting while moving ends up decreasing your accuracy. And like the first game, it received positive reviews, praised for its dynamic gameplay mechanics and major graphical increase. But after Counter-Strike Source, the series lay dormant for a long time. Years went by and there was no mention of a new game. That was until August of 2011, great timing, nearly 7 years after Counter-Strike Source, that Valve revealed the brand new game. Well, the game was called Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It happened, so let's talk about it. At first, the game looked like a major technical step up from Counter-Strike Source with massively improved visuals, easily reflecting the visuals of its time. There was also an overhaul of new content that was introduced in the game. Basically weapon skins, and that was kind of it, but still, people liked it. Even to this day, 8 years after its release, Valve has continued to support this game with updates and events time and time again, most recently with Operation Shattered Web. You're probably asking, wait, you've just gone through a retrospective of the Counter-Strike series, when are you actually going to review it? After all, the name of the video is CSGO Review, but we'll get to the review part in a minute. First, we need a brief explanation of the game and how it works. Start with the main gameplay, as there's no story to go around. Two teams, one terrorist, one counter-terrorist, like basically every other Counter-Strike game. In the bomb defusal mode, the terrorist's job is to plant the bomb and stop the counter-terrorist from defusing it, while the counter-terrorist's job is to defuse the bomb or wait for the game clock to hit 0. If the game clock hits 0 with the counter-terrorist alive and the bomb not yet planted, the counter-terrorists win the round. If the terrorists successfully plant the bomb, the game clock is replaced with the bomb timer, giving the counter-terrorists 40 seconds to defuse the bomb. If the bomb is defused, the counter-terrorists win, but if they fail to defuse it, the terrorists win. Pretty much goes without saying that if either team is completely eliminated, the surviving team wins the round. However, if the terrorists have already planted the bomb, even if the counter-terrorists completely eliminate all of the terrorist team, they would still need to defuse the bomb to win the round. But that's the one exception. Alright, that's the basics of gameplay. Now the different game modes, and oh boy, the game modes. First, we have Casual Mode. Simply put, it's a race of first to 8 wins. Friendly fire is disabled, all counter-terrorists are equipped with defuse kits automatically, and there are 10 players maximum on each team. It's just good stuff. Simple, basic fun. At least if you're not getting simultaneously whipped and nay-nayed on by hackers every 2.11 picoseconds. In Deathmatch mode, there are no bombs to plant or hostages to rescue. It is just whoever can get the most points in 10 minutes. Unlike Casual, players respawn almost immediately, weapons don't cost money, and there are no rounds. Just whoever can get the most kills, assists, anything that accumulate the most points is the winner. If you personally like fast-paced gameplay that always keeps you engaged, this mode is for you. That's actually the exact reason that this mode is one of my favorites. Competitive mode. It's pretty similar to Casual mode rule set, but with a few gameplay tweaks. First, the player count is cut in half from 10 maximum per team to 5, which adds an element of strategy as you have to communicate with your limited number of players. In addition to that, the round count is doubled to make it a best of 30 round game. As such, you have to really study the maps if you want to play this mode with intent to win, because there are many places to peek shots through, secrets to access, and strategies to plan. If I had to nitpick, I don't personally like how long these games are, as they can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 minutes, Personally, I think a 20 or 24 round cap would have been better, but overall, this mode is pretty solid. Wingman mode, one of the most underappreciated and underrated game modes in my opinion. It's a simple 2v2, but competitive rules apply. Maps are cut from 2 bomb sites to 1, and rounds go much quicker. Also, instead of best of 30 rounds, it's best of 16, so games usually take 20 minutes to complete. This mode always keeps you engaged, which by the way isn't a problem with the other modes, it's just more prevalent in this mode, and the 1 bomb site maps that were specifically made for this game mode are stellar. Definitely one of my favorite game modes for any shooter game. With that, we've covered the 4 main modes of this game, or at least the 4 main modes worth playing. Now for the 2 side modes, War Games and Danger Zone. I'll start with Danger Zone because it'll go by much quicker. It is basic Battle Royale mode with 18 players using some elements from the series to make it more fast-paced. This is the only mode that can get eviscerated from existence and I wouldn't care at all, as like other Battle Royales, it gets empty and boring real quick. The map is pretty bland and the new things that it adds are pretty tacked on and it just seems like a poor excuse for a mode to capitalize on the recent Battle Royale craze. On a positive note, it is somewhat fun to use CSGO weapons in a large open setting, which is probably one redeeming factor I can find for it. And finally, we have War Games. I'm only going to go through the current modes for this game because this video would probably be 2 hours long if I went through all of them in detail. So, first we have Flying Scoutsman. Every player is equipped with a scout rifle and a knife, while gravity is greatly lowered and casual rules apply. This mode is good, not one of the best, not one of the worst. Although it is fun stabbing people with a knife that don't know how to snipe, which is a lot of players now that CSGO is free to play. Also, quick side note, CSGO was actually $15 from its 2012 release to December of 2018, which it went free to play. Now we have Arms Race. It's basically a race to get a kill with the golden knife, but before you have a chance to get that, you have to work up the ranks deathmatch style. Same rules as deathmatch, but there is no time limit and you cannot choose your arsenal of weapons. Instead, for every 2 kills, you rank up and are given a random weapon, which is the same order for all players to make it fair. Once you reach the top rank, you need to kill with the golden knife to win the game. This one's also a nice flavor change from deathmatch, and sometimes the games can go quicker depending on how many players you have. Although I would have to say, I enjoy deathmatch more because the map pool in that mode is just too good to pass up, while the maps here are decent at best, most of them are just forgettable. And speaking of maps, we'll get to those after we talk about the last mode, Demolition. You can't tell from my voice right now, Demolition is bad. It's a mix of Arm Race and Casual, in which it borrows the same progression system from Arms Race but the same basic gameplay from Casual. It's about as forgettable and tedious as you expect. Finally, we have the maps. Objectively the best and most unique part of the game. I'm only going to go through the main 10 maps that you would be playing for all of the modes, except for War Games, because there isn't much that you can say about those maps, as going through all of them would take an eternity. So here goes. Vertigo. A true classic, one that can be enjoyed and easily understood by most decent players. Beginners should probably stick to Mirage, however. Canals. It goes under the radar a lot, and for admittedly good reason. Not a bad map by any means, just a tad forgettable. It is a shame too, because it actually is a pretty good map for casual and competitive mode. Mirage. The main map that you would be playing as a beginner, and as such, it is a good map for beginners. Pretty well rounded overall, actually. Inferno. My personal favorite map of the bunch. Just the right size, not too open, great for every mode. This is the magnum opus of CSGO maps in my opinion. Also, we have Nuke. A great romp for competitive and casual players, although a little too open for deathmatch. Still top 5 map material. Cobblestone. An alright map, definitely not one of the greatest, but good at what it does. Dust 2. Probably the most strategic map in the game. You'll want to know this place inside out for all the game modes, and it is very open with the secrets and holes you can peek shots through. Train. This one gets a lot of flack, and I simply don't understand why. While Nuke is arguably better at being an open map, both are great to play and a blast, especially in comp. Overpass. Easy to learn, hard to master, but a well-rounded map overall. Takes a while to understand what passages go where, but once you have it down, it's a great map for all modes. Cache. Up there with Dust 2 is one of the maps that takes the most strategy. Aside from Deathmatch, you'd need to have this map down to a T to make any advancements in casual or competitive. And that's pretty much it. Obviously there's more, but I don't want to bore you with that, and plus we got a lot of the major stuff down. What are my final thoughts on the game? Overall, it is a nice blend of team-based combat and strategy that any newcomer to FPS games can enjoy. This entry especially introduced so many things to the franchise that made the game more personally tailored to the gamer's experience, which I love when companies try to do. Ubisoft, EA. And that pretty much explains why I haven't talked negativity on this game in this review, because aside from Danger Zone, this game is filled with memorable maps and modes, a good progression system, good customizable options that we haven't seen prior to games like this, and Valve knows this too, because they regularly update and maintain this game almost a decade after this release. If there's anything to take away from this, CSGO is one game I'm sure will stand the test of time. Heyo guys, thank you so much for watching. This was my first ever review, so let me know if there's anything that I missed, something that I should improve on, or just general thoughts in the comments. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time.